Okay, Bob, so you are now good to go. Have a great class. I think Bob is not here, Michael. Just convey to him.
Yeah, no worries. Just you have made me a co-host, and that is fine.
Yep. Okay. Bye
All
bye.
right.
Take care.
Bye.
Oh, just need to make sure I got my bottle of water.
Yep, that is the priority.
Mhm. Okay, welcome everybody. We can start letting people in. Okay. Do you want to take care of the wait? Thank you for taking care of the waiting room, Michael. Appreciate that. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Welcome. How is everyone doing today?
good, thank you. Hi, Bob.
Good, good. Hi, hi. We're doing finding free photos on the internet today. That sounds exciting, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Yes, some of you may have already been finding free photos, but we're going to learn a little bit more about where to find them and some tips on getting them and doing other things. We've got Michael, for our teaching assistant, is with us and on chat. He's available for those of you that have a desktop or a laptop. I think iPads can get chat, but I don't think Android or iPhones can get chat, if I'm not mistaken. But if you have you can access chat and make sure. So we might need every so often, we might need to mute people if we're picking up any extraneous noise or sounds from the background, and appreciate that understanding that we might need to do that. Okay.
Where would you store them?
I'm sorry, Yvonne, what is that?
Where would you store them?
Where would we store what?
The photos.
Photos? Wherever you want to put them on your computer.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll download. There's typically, with when you use a web browser or to download a file from the internet, it downloads it to a folder called the download folder on your computer. It's usually in your documents, but you can always get them out of there if you need to.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a few more people joining in, and then we'll get started in just a minute. I had to quickly get my bottle of water for the meeting because talking on Zoom for a little while kind of dries my throat out. So welcome everybody. I'm going to give you some introductory slides, sharing screen right now, and then we'll take questions about finding free photos on the internet. There's actually quite a lot of choices available and a few other options that are available through some applications you might not be familiar with as well. So for those of you that have had a class with me before, you know I'm in Seal Beach, California, and we are broadcasting live from here right now. For those of you joining us on live streaming, welcome. We encourage you to join getsetup.io and take advantage of participating in a class as well. And my goal is to try and make technology simpler to understand. That's what I try and do with my time. I've been teaching adults how to use technology since 2007 and worked in the technology industry my whole career. So that Get Set Up is a learning organization. We help you learn useful things so that you can use them. We learn from each other. Sometimes we get some really interesting questions that take us into areas that might be a little bit off of the agenda, but we stay with the agenda pretty closely. Just depends on the time we have available, typically, if we can handle some of those questions. You will be able to request a recording after class at help@getsetup.io. That'll come to the email you registered with at GetSetUp. And again, we encourage you to participate. And even though we might mention some websites or services or products, we're not paid to promote anything specifically at all. We're just using them as part of our learning experience, okay? So I wanted to explain a little bit about using pictures from the internet. And we're going to cover understanding permissions and copyright so that you understand what's perfectly permissible to do and perfectly within your legal rights to use. And I'm going to show you lots of websites that offer you free, what are called free stock photos. And what is a stock photo? We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll take a look at how you can use these websites to search for things. And I'll talk about a few other sources of free photos that you might use. And it doesn't really matter what you use your photos for, whether you're using for presentations. We are, a lot of people that take the class on virtual backgrounds for beginners want to use photos for the backgrounds, but you can use photos in presentations, you can use them in flyers, you can use documents, and a good photo can really help make things work really well for you. So just before we get started, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions about finding free photos, or if you're hoping we'll cover some topics and they're on the agenda, or I can get them into the agenda, let me know. Anybody have any questions they're hoping to get answered today? Okay, all right. Well, we'll talk a little bit about photos. So it doesn't matter. I'm curious where people, have you gone anywhere to look for photos before, or found photos that you found places to find photos? Anybody? Okay, so it's new for a lot of people then. So we'll take a look at some places that might help you out. So let me explain a little bit about things on the internet and some of these terms called stock photos. Okay, there's stock photos means that they're photos that are being pulled from a photo library. So just think of it like a library for books, only it's a library for photos, and it's online, it's electronic. The library could be free or it could be paid, but when you use a stock photo and use it from the library, you get what's called a license to use it. You get certain permissions to use it for whatever intent you have for it. And this is where a lot of people don't understand, and what I hope to help you avoid getting in trouble when you use photos as well. Okay, so why would people care about using stock photos? Well, a lot of people make presentations. A lot of people are looking for photos for backgrounds. A lot of people want to use them for documents. And whoever came up with the phrase "a photo is worth 1,000 words," it was right. I mean, a good photo communicates an idea, a story, a scene, a situation. It explains a lot more because people are very visual. We really like to absorb information visually. I think that's why we like television and movies and plays and performances and things like that, because it's a visual form of media, and we like using that. A stock photo is a photo that comes from the library, and like library books, stock photos can be used by many different people. It's less expensive than using a photographer. When you want to get a custom photo, you can have a custom photo made just like a custom cabinet, but it's going to cost more. You've got to hire the photographer, you've got to pay them, you've got to decide but the photos are just for you, so it's worth it. And companies that sell and market products on the internet and use things, they often use custom photos, but a stock photo from a library can be less expensive because it can be used over and over by multiple people. It's not a custom photo, so it's less expensive. And the images are high quality. And these online libraries where there are stock photos are easy to search. If you're looking for a photo of a tiger or a leopard or a lion or flowers or tulips or calla lilies, you can find them. And they're usually very quickly available with a download. You can get them right away. Whereas if you hired a photographer, you'd have to wait for them to get the photos, get whatever you need done, and then send you the photos that you could use. So getting stock photos is a very quick way to get a photo and not pay a lot of money for it, or even get them free, which we're going to discover today. So any questions about what a stock photo is? It's a photo that is used. It's not exclusive. It's something that can be used over and over again by multiple people. And there's a lot of websites where they're available. Okay. So this thing called a license is what gives you permission to use the photo. Okay. In the United States, there's this thing called copyright, and in many countries around the world. And the creator of original work, like a photo, owns the copyright to it. They own the right to distribute it. So they can set the rules for how they want to have that photo used. So the photo could be free or paid, or it could be unrestricted, meaning there's no restrictions on how you use it, or it could be restricted. It might be available only for personal use, or you might have a license where you could use it for commercial, meaning in a book or publication or website or other things. Or you might be able to use it as long as you give credit, called attribution, as long as you say who you are using the photo from. And you might have seen that, where you might have seen photos that say courtesy, photo courtesy XYZ, or Mr. or Ms. or whatever, so-and-so photography, right? So that's a license. And knowing what license you have for a photo is what's helpful to understand, because if you can find free photos that are unrestricted, that means that you can use them freely without violating any restrictions or any copyrights at all for the user. And that's what you really want to be able to do. So this thing called copyright, it's why you need the license to use it. Because anytime somebody creates something that's called an original work, okay, it's protected by copyright. It's actually automatic when the work is created since 1978. But this is actually part of the US Constitution, copyright. And so if somebody writes a book, if somebody composes a song, if somebody writes a play, if somebody creates some artwork, if somebody does a piece of sculpture, all of those things, and even other things like software, are considered original works, and they're protected. So that the idea behind it is that the original founders of the country wanted to make sure that the people who created something were able to bear the fruit of their creation, meaning any monetary gain. And so they gave people who created things the right to determine how it could be copied. And that's how the word copyright became known. And so it means the owner, of whoever owns the work, has the exclusive rights legally to either reproduce it or distribute it. Now they can give it away. They could say, I'm going to make this available for anybody to use for free. Okay. Or they could say, I don't want anybody to use it for free, and I don't want to make any copies of it. There is only one sculpture, for example, then there's only one, building that I designed, or something like that, or only one copy of a play, one performance or something like that. So, but the owner is the one that really determines that. But many owners of photos put them up on stock photo websites and do give people free permission to use them however they want to. And that's what we want to find. Any questions about that? I'm not an attorney, but I do understand a little bit about copyright because I author books and create original content and do some other things. And so this is a layman's explanation so that you understand it and you don't get in trouble with anything, okay? All right. So some people use Google search to find photos, right? So what happens when you find a photo on Google search? Well, a couple of things. The first thing is that Google produces results for all license types, restricted and unrestricted. And it's possible to filter licenses on Google search, but Google will give you a little message that says images may be subject to copyright. Google's not going to tell you if it is or not. They're going to leave it up to you to determine if that photo is governed by copyright or restricted by copyright. And this is actually a photo. I did a search for jaguars here on the web, and this is a nice photo. But the photo that came up in search has a little tiny note here that says copyright Joel Sartore. He's a photographer for National Geographic. And so if this photo has a copyright on it, that means that it's not permissible to use it unless you get permission from Joel Sartore to use it. And he might make it available or he might not, but you can't really use that photo without his permission. Even by giving him credit, that you have no permission to use that photo. So that's the drawback to Google searching Google for photos, as you want to make sure you can use it legally without any trouble. Any questions about that? May have come across things that say copyright on them, and that usually means that they're protected. Now, there are paid photo libraries, okay? So there's a lot of them out there. Adobe, Big Stock, Shutterstock, iStock, Getty Images, more, and they usually require a monthly subscription or a per photo fee that you might have to pay for downloading and using so many photos. And they can get expensive over time. If you were commercially using photos, say you were a blogger, or you were a writer, or you were a website owner, or you printed, items and you're looking for photos, it would be worth it maybe to pay for them, because you get a lot more photos, but you get a lot wider variety of photos. But for the average consumer, the average personal user, there's really no need to pay for access to photo libraries and pay for a subscription. There are some subscriptions you might get that you don't know about because you might be purchasing some software, but we'll talk about that. But we want to learn about free ones. Okay, and I'm going to show you each of these and how they work. Obviously, your own photos that you take with your camera, they're free for you to use, right? So if you are a photographer and you use your smartphone or you use other camera to take pictures, they're all yours to use. They're absolutely free for you to use. There's another type of photo called that's licensed by an organization called Creative Commons, and it's got some pros and cons to it. It basically is a way for people who own the photo, that own the copyright, to say, I'm going to license it based on these uses. So some people on Creative Commons will say, this photo is free to use without credit. Some will say the photo is free to use, but you have to give me credit. Some people will say it's free to use for personal use, but not commercial use. And so it gets a little complicated. And I don't like things that get too complicated. I prefer simpler, and I think you probably do as well. So there's websites, and we're going to look at all these websites, and they're all going to be in the email that you're going to get after class. So Adobe stock, free, Pexels, Pixabay, Unsplash, Canva, free, and Zoom even has a website now for Zoom virtual backgrounds. And if you are a subscriber and subscribe to Microsoft's 365, which is what they call Office now, you actually get access in PowerPoint and Word to stock photos. You get thousands and thousands of photos available with your subscription to Microsoft 365. And we go through that with in our PowerPoint class that I teach, PowerPoint Basics, and I show people. All of these free sites will usually give you the opportunity to donate to the photographer if you choose to, or give them attribution, which is credit for the photo if you choose to as well. It's optional, and it helps, but the photographer gets some visibility, but it's not a requirement in order to access these photos. So are you ready to look around a little bit with me? Any questions so far about photos and where to get them and how to use them and things like that? Okay, I'm going to share some websites with you. Okay, so I'm going to share my web browser, and we're going to take a look at some of these websites for a little while here, and we'll take a look at what they are. I'm going to move this out over to the side here, and this is a website from Zoom, zoom.us virtual backgrounds. Okay. Zoom has been collecting a list of people that provide virtual backgrounds. So sports teams provide them, like the 49ers. I don't know who the Adelaide Crows are, to be honest, but they're up there. These are alphabetical, or Alaska Airlines is making ones. People like, they have some design ones for autumn. They have a BBC, they have Big Brother TV shows, brands like Behr Paint, automobile companies like BMW, just BYU Cougars, Canva, and that's just the C. We got just the C. So Chicago Bears. I was born in Chicago, so we're going to try the Chicago Bears download. What's going to happen? I'm going to open this up to my whole screen, so you can see what's going on while I'm working on it, okay? So let me stop sharing and change it to a full desktop share so you can see a few things here that might be a little bit easier. So here's the website. Let me make this a little bit easier for us to see what's going on here by making this bigger. Okay, so this website is here. So here's where I want to download Chicago Bears. If I scroll over with my mouse, I'll see a little arrow pointing down. That usually is a symbol for download. Okay. If I click on that, it will say, take me to a website that says fans can choose a Bears background on Zoom. So they have a couple of different ones. It takes me to a different website. And I'm going to change the cookie here. So I can download this by clicking on it, and it will let me download this background by clicking on download. Now, zoom.us takes you to a website, which takes you to a website that's not always the easiest thing to use. And so this is asking me to download it in a certain way, and it's not necessarily the easiest one to use. So I don't really always like to use this. It typically is a lot easier with some of the stock photo sites. So zoom.us is okay, but it just gives you, it takes you to so many different places that it's not the easiest one to use. So that's, but it's available if you're interested, okay? The other one that's also not so easy to use is called Creative Commons. Now, Creative Commons does give you a search box. So if I want to search for a Jaguar, for example, I can search for it, but it also says, can I use it commercially or can I modify it? Sometimes you are not given permission to modify a picture, but if you just want to use the picture as it is, we can search for Jaguars here and we'll see all these Jaguars that are available. And we have different, choices. We have all these different Jaguars, including Jaguar cars. And some of these will have a little text on them to show you where the original was credited from. And we can see what we might have. So this has images and we can filter these images when we search. So this is where Creative Commons gets a little bit confusing and why it's not one of my favorite stock photo sites, but it's there and I wanted to make you aware of it. So these are all the different types of licensing things, ways that Creative Commons makes it available. So CC0 it's the work is in the public domain, which means it's free, it's available, and it's okay to use it for anything. All of these others have some restrictions, like by means that you are allowed to use the photo, but you need to credit the creator of it. And so it gets really complicated to use. And so it's not one of my favorites, but it is there in case you're interested in using it. So that's two that are okay, but it should be easier, I think, don't you? Okay, so let's take a look at Adobe stock. Okay, so let me take a look at Adobe here. And if I look at Adobe stock free, adobe.com free says, discover Adobe stock free photos, vectors, and videos. Okay, a vector is a drawing or illustration. Okay, so you can see this is a photo. This is a vector. It's a drawing or illustration, but there are free ones available from Adobe if you're interested in using them. There's also free videos that are available. So now if I say, let's type in the word Jaguar and see what I find here, you'll see that it's really, really easy to find something. I have the ability, here's a illustration. It says free. Here's another one that says free. And when I want to download it, I would just click on the button called license. And if I click on license, it takes me to the page where it tells me what it is. Now, if you're a new user on Adobe, sometimes they may ask you to create an account for it. And so, sometimes they'll give you a code that you have to enter and approve for that for verification. So I wasn't signed into my Adobe account. So now I'm able to click on license and it should give me the ability to download that image. See, it went flying down there. Okay, if I do it with this one and click on license, it will go, as soon as it's done, it downloads it. So that goes to what's called my downloads folder. So if I click on my downloads folder, then here's this photo and here's another one. Let's pull the other one here, okay? So I just like to drag them over to my desktop. So I can use these in any way I want to, okay? They're free. I have permission to do a lot of things. And so Adobe is one resource for you. Okay, they're good and they have a lot of different things. And these websites all have filters that you can use them for filter your selections as well. So any questions about that? Okay, because I'm going to get to easier sites to use for you. Okay, because let's try and make it as easy as possible, right? Okay, so now if we go to my web browser and I bring up the next website, which is called Pexels, Pexels. They have millions of photos, okay, and videos. Okay, they don't have vectors, illustrations, but they have photos and videos. So if I type in Jaguar here, okay, I can do a search and it'll search for all things. And it even gives me some hints now. Okay, do I want a leopard or a jaguar animal? Or am I maybe really interested in a tiger, a lion, or a cheetah, or the car itself? Well, I'm interested in the jaguar animal, so I can click this and it helps me find things that are just related to jaguar. Now, I don't know why some of these show up the way they do, but they do. But these are jaguar animal photos. But I liked going back what I was looking at before. This gives me a lot more selection. So if I look at these photos, I see a little download link here. If I log in and create an account, it does give me the ability to mark a photo as a favorite and save it if I want to. But I can just click on the download button here. This is faster. This downloads it right away. And if I want to donate to Yigitan, I can do that. I'll do that after class, but you can see here, I can link back to this photo by copying a link if I'm using it in a website or an email. Now, I can look for things a little bit more focused too. If I want to find ones that are oriented horizontally, they're meaning wider than they are tall, I can just select for horizontal. Or if I want to look at them more vertically, I want more of a vertical one, because a horizontal one would work well for, say, a Zoom background on a desktop or a slide. But a vertical one might work better on, say, a smartphone, for example, if you're concerned about how it would look on a smartphone. And I could go with square and just say, I just want to see square ones, okay? So one of the things you do need to be aware of is that sites like Pexels and Adobe and others, they make free photos available, but they also are associated with photo sites that have paid subscriptions. And so these are sponsored photos that are ones that you would have to pay for with a subscription. So generally have your widest search possible for what you can use, and that will give you a choice. Now, if I wanted to look for Jaguar car, I could click on Jaguar car, and here's Jaguar car photos. Okay, so I can narrow things down. Or if I wanted to look for, say, flowers, I can do flowers, and it even gives me the ability to select flowers by nature, roses, garden, and there's a lot of photos of flowers. It tells you there's 58,000 photos for flowers. So some of the common themes you'll find, but I can even select a color. So if I was say, gee, I'm looking for something blue, I can click on blue and there's blue flowers. So kind of interesting, what you can do. So if I'd rather have something different like red, I can pick red themed, pictures that are predominantly red or purple. Or if I don't want any colors, I can just select all colors. So Pexels is one of the easier ones to use. I like them a lot because of that. And so if I wanted to download, say, this photo, I would click over the download link here, and the photo would download to my desktop download folder, and I would say thank you to Jonas. Okay. Okay, so any questions about that? Yeah, Nancy.
You just put in the word Pexels. You don't say Pexels.com, just Pexels, and just the word Adobe.
Well, these are website links. You're going to get an email with the link to each of these websites. Okay, in the follow-up email to class, because I want to make sure you get to the right website. So those are the links that you're going to get. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Anybody else have any questions about Pexels or Adobe Stock or anything so far that we've looked at? Because we're not done. We still have a few more to look at. Okay, so there's millions and millions of photos out there. So I don't want anyone to ever be lacking for a photo that when they need a photo from the internet, and one that's perfectly legitimate to use. Okay.
Bob, can they be used for like stationary or other purposes, or only on screen?
If they are free, and you know they're free to use, they're free to use any way you want to.
Okay.
That's the advantage of them. They're free to use any way you want to.
So like book covers or stationary.
You can modify them, you can change them, you can edit them. Right.
Okay, thank you.
And the reason these the reason these websites offer free photos is to get you to come to the website because they know people are looking for photos. And if they know that of the some people that want to get free things, at some point somebody might see a photo they're willing to pay for, or they decide, I'm using this enough that it's worth a subscription. And so, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever gone to Costco when they serve free samples of food, they're not going to get you to buy the pack of 20 burritos, right? But if they give you a free sample, you're more likely to try, it. There's no risk in trying a free sample usually. But if you try that free sample, you might say, gee, I love these burritos, or I love these burgers, or I really like this, snack or something, which is why free samples are popular for things.
Right. Pre-COVID.
Exactly. Pre-COVID. They're starting to give out free samples in our Costco's in California again at lunch. So
they are here in Ohio too, but just they have them individually wrapped.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well,
thank you.
Let's take a look at some other sites. Okay. Pexel, anything anybody want to look for in particular when we go to our next search? Anybody looking for photos on anything?
Just wondering, do they have, let's say, cities or locations or states? Is that a choice?
Good question. What kind of a city? What city would you like a picture of?
Let's try Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, let's go to the next one. I have no idea. We'll see if this is going to work, but this is how we find out things on computers. I went to a website called Pixabay, and it says they only have 2.2 million photos. So that's I don't know if that's enough, but let's see if they have a picture of Detroit. Okay, and
maybe I should have said a small town. I know they probably have something in.
Well, probably try. You want to try like Saginaw?
Yeah, let's try Saginaw.
I bet you're wondering how I knew of Saginaw, right? Okay, that's because I grew up in the Midwest, in Chicago, so at least I knew Saginaw. So I have no idea. Okay, Saginaw. Oh, there's some. This is one. This is the Saginaw. It's a frozen river in Saginaw. Not a lot. Okay, so here's what happens is that they have one free photo, but they do have other ones that are part of a subscription if you want to get access to these. So like a travel website or a history, something might be looking and say, gee, I need pictures of I know a really good city that they're probably not going to have anything for. It's called Rock Rapids, Iowa. That's where my late wife was from. And then okay, so here's some pictures of rocks and rapids, but probably nothing of Rock Rapids, Iowa, but you can find out where you can get closer. And so they have pictures of things like Detroit, lots of pictures of Detroit that are free. Okay, so you'll typically find free photos of bigger cities and things because there are more people out there to upload photos. But you might not find photos of smaller cities. But here's some interesting. Gee, that looks like a really good photo, and yeah, it is. It's probably one that you might want to pay for, but it's not available in the free. But you get pretty close. Here's Detroit downtown. Not a bad photo. Okay, that's pretty good looking photo. If you wanted and they have keywords: Detroit, downtown, city, architecture, Michigan, travel. Okay, that's the search, and it's a free download. And the Pixabay license says it's free for commercial use, no attribution required. So you can use it for anything you want. Okay.
So are there levels like commercial is higher than personal?
The free photos on Pixabay are free downloads. Okay. It tells you the license. It's rare that they will have it restricted, but that's what they have these paid ones for here. Okay. But when you pay for it, you get the ability to do almost anything you want with it. But these sites typically have a little bit of advertising and something else here. Okay, so I see Nancy, you're looking for a beach animation video. Okay, let me go back to Pixabay's home. And they have videos. They do have vectors. They do have illustrations. They have videos. Now, Zoom videos sometimes require, they don't want a very big video. So if the video is large, it wouldn't work. But these are a few thousand. So let's say beach. Okay. And we're searching in videos. Let's see. Oh, here's some beach videos. Now, again, the ones on top are paid, but these are free. Okay. So this one shows you flying over a beach. This one's another one that shows people playing on the beach. If you just hover over it, animates it. This is another one, a motorboat splat, through a bay, orange sunset, with surf going on. So these are all free, and they tell you how long they are. Zoom typically doesn't like really long videos or really large video files. So sometimes like a 40-second video, that might be a little too long for a Zoom background. Okay. But that's a nice one. I like that one. That's pretty good. Somebody wants a kitchen utensil or plate pictures. Let's try something else. Unsplash is another one. So let's see. Kitchen helps to spell it, doesn't it? Kitchen plates. Okay. It doesn't spell kitchen right, but that got close. So here's Unsplash, which is another one. And even if I spelled it wrong, I can find different pictures here. So there's some, who doesn't like something with cheesecake on it, right? Here's other plates. Different plates, pottery, designs, there's actually table settings too. I found that as one. So let's take kitchen utensils. Okay. Here's a whole bunch. Okay. So these are all the ones that came up, and here's related collections, people that have created collections of kitchen utensils that are available for you to look at. kind of interesting. Knives, forks, spoons, serving spoons, others that you might be interested in as well. So that you can use these search. And if you know, you're going to get links to all these sites. So that if you don't like what you find on one, let's go back to Pexels and let's look for kitchen utensils and see what they have. Oh, whole different selection. Okay. Interesting, isn't it? Well, all these different choices that are available for you in things you might be looking for. And so you can spend hours, browsing these photos. They do have videos too. Okay, so if I wanted to find a beach video on here, I could type in beach and I can click videos and I can see what videos are available. So let's see what this one looks like. Okay, if I can see what this video, and it'll play the video. Sometimes they have sound, sometimes they don't.
I'm looking for the one like they have on virtual background, but I don't have it and I can't find it.
I don't know why that sometimes I'm finding out from people, Nance, that some people get that one on Zoom. I know which one you're talking about. Let me stop sharing for a second. And
Desperately looking for that.
I know some people they're looking for this virtual background that is like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
exactly what I'm looking for.
right. Now, it depends on your computer. The next class I'm doing later today is virtual backgrounds for beginners, right? But that's one place where you might use pictures. Zoom seems to include the pictures and videos with some people, and I'm not sure why. But I think it has to do with whether your computer will support video or not, or it might be just that you need to update your Zoom on your computer as well.
I updated it, but do you know where I can find that?
I don't know if that's available on Zoom. Let's see. We got a minute here. So hold on a second.
Where do they keep these things in the Zoom library?
Well, they keep it in, that's something we cover in the virtual backgrounds, but if you go to your virtual background settings in Zoom, it's one of the standard background images.
Not mine.
Yeah, I can't tell why it's not on your specific computer without looking at your computer, but most people that seem to have virtual backgrounds available to them have that in their selection. Yeah, and I'm not sure, I don't know why, honestly. Some people have it and some don't, to be honest. I think it has
a way of sending that?
the only thing I know a way to know to get it is to get it from the Zoom application when you have it on your computer. And so if it's not available in your Zoom virtual backgrounds, for some reason, Zoom doesn't know, are any other videos available, or don't you have any videos?
I don't have any videos on
And
it.
it could be that your computer is not fast enough to support videos in the virtual background feature. And they may not let you get them if they don't think your computer is fast enough. Because you have to have a pretty powerful computer to play video in the background like I am right now.
Originally, I did not have it on my computer.
Yeah.
And I had to go ahead and download the latest Zoom update, because I just thought all you need to do was download it once. But evidently there's a...
They update several times, Wilson. You're absolutely right. So if you go to zoom.us, that's the only way to find out if it's going to be available, is if you go to zoom.us and download it and see if it's available in your virtual background selection.
I have the latest version, the 5.6. It's not there.
And then for some reason, I think Zoom thinks your computer is not fast enough to run virtual background.
How does Zoom know?
Well, we'll talk about that in the virtual backgrounds for beginners class. Okay, that's what we cover there, is to find out what you need to do in that. Okay, so let me show you one more site to find, and a couple of things you can do with finding photos. Okay, so we've looked at Pexels We've looked at Pixabay. We've looked at Unsplash. And there is another site called Canva. Canva is a site that offers templates for different, posting things on social media, but they also have a free photo library available that's available for you to use for things. So if you're looking for backgrounds, and then they also have a way, watch on the website to make sure you're looking at the free. This is free and premium right here. I'm going to draw a circle around that so you can see it. So it says free and premium right here. And I want to select the free only, just free. And so now if I just look at free, I know that all of these are free backgrounds. I mean, sometimes backgrounds are really, good. So if you're just looking for something that's pink or red or blue or any different things that you might want. So you can find backgrounds. We can probably look for kitchen utensils. I don't know what it'll have, but it seems to have a lot. So it automatically brings up free and premium again. Make sure you just go to free and you'll see the ones that are available for free here. Okay, and when you want to download it, you would click on it, and let's click on this one, and it says, it's free to use, okay, and explains a little bit more, and you can download it available. Now you notice sometimes these websites are connected to each other. This says it's from Pexels. Well, why is Canva showing you pictures from Pexels? Well, that's because Pexels does a really good job of pulling together free photos. And so Pexels and Pixabay seem to be two of the most abundant sites for free stock photos and stock videos. And also things like illustrations. So if I wanted an illustration of a beach, for example, I could find something, not a lot of choice for free, but that's kind of an interesting one. But they seem to do that more than anything else. But you may find different things on each of the sites, no matter where you go.
What site is this?
This is Pixabay. And so Pixabay, my two go-to ones that I usually go to most often, that's just me. I tend to go to Pixabay and Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S. And so they seem to have the most selection, but I also use something else. Let me stop sharing here for a second and see if I can find my PowerPoint slide presentation tool, okay? Where is that? Here we go. Okay, so in Microsoft PowerPoint and Office 365, there is the ability to use photos when you're creating a document or an illustration or a slide presentation or anything you want to create, okay? And one of the options is to insert a photo if you're interested in inserting a photo. So I'm going to set up a blank presentation here real quickly and show it to you with sharing here. So if I open up PowerPoint, and here's my presentation, okay? So if I wanted to get a picture, I can go to the Insert menu. Now this is with the paid subscription to Office, but if you're using Office applications like Word or PowerPoint or Excel, and you're paying for a Microsoft 365 subscription, you've got access to the stock photo library they include with it. So I would go to Insert, Pictures, and here's something called Stock Images. If I click on that, it brings up a whole library of stock images here. So if I wanted to find something like a beach, here are beaches that I can select from Microsoft's stock photo library, and it's big. It's got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of photos. So I can just click on this and click on insert, and it automatically inserts it into my document, whatever I'm doing. So Microsoft includes a free stock photo library with your Microsoft 365 subscription. So if you're, that's one of the things people don't realize they get with it. And so it's always possible to use that if you don't know anywhere else to go. So hopefully you found enough choices and some websites that maybe you didn't know about before to try some things out for some stock photos that you might be interested in looking around for. And we've taken a look at where you can find some requests for beaches and photos and other things like that, all legal, licensed, with millions and millions of choices. And you also learned that if you do have a Microsoft 365 subscription, you do have a stock photo library built into your applications there as well. So we're going to cover, we're actually doing a Zoom backgrounds for beginners class. I'm actually doing it in a half an hour at this afternoon. It's afternoon for me, but I encourage you to look at the cloud classes. I'm doing classes on buying your next Windows PC. We're doing a class that's starting Monday on Microsoft 365. I also do a class on PowerPoint. We've kind of changed it around to being a PowerPoint basics class now, as opposed to all levels. And so we're going to see, it seems to help to do that. But I always throw in one intermediate to advanced feature, because there's always some very high, highly skilled people in these classes. And you're skilled too. Now you know how to get these photos, okay? And you're going to get an email with class notes that'll have all the links to all of these websites. And we encourage you to provide feedback. Take a look at other classes that might be of interest to you. Tell a friend about a class. Now, when you register for a class, you're able to tell friends about this class and share it via email or Facebook or others. And so it's easy to invite friends to take classes with you and spread the word about Get Set Up. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but we do actually have learners that take on hosting interest groups in all kinds of topics. Doesn't matter. If here's my definition of an expert, and all of you are experts. I am declaring all of you experts in something. If somebody comes to you for advice about anything, they think you're an expert in that topic. So it doesn't matter whether it's cooking, whether it's travel, whether it's learning, finding places to learn online, whether it's nutrition or fitness, whatever. If somebody comes to you for advice on anything, the reason they're asking you is because they think you're an authority, right? Why else would they ask you? Because if they didn't think you knew more than they did, or had a valid suggestion, they would do it. So all of you are experts on something, and Get Set Up does give you the opportunity, if you're ever interested in hosting an interest group or teaching class, even becoming a guide and other things. Or we also have partnering with organizations that provide senior communities, state government organizations, and you can always request a session recording by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. And I hope you do, or you're welcome to come and join us again when we do the class again as well. And maybe I'll see some of you at the Zoom virtual backgrounds for beginners class later on this evening as well. For how many of you, how is it evening for anybody yet? Okay, so I've got some people on Eastern time zone. I know. It's still,
Yeah, 6:30 here.
it's just 3:30 for me right now. Well, actually 3:28 according to my computer clock.
Right.
Yeah. So any questions before we say goodbye and move on to our next learning? You're going to be able to use some of these sites, I hope. Some of you, yeah, good. I'm glad to see some nodding heads. Great, great. That tells me that something helped you today. And take advantage of them, try them out, share them with friends. Let people know. For every person that you think might know something about technology, there's a dozen people that may not even know about it. I'm always surprised what we're able to learn here too, and find out about things. Have anybody found a website that they want to share that has photos that they found that are doing anything? Okay. Well, then I've done it. Then I've found a pretty good selection, and that helps me out. Okay, so we've had a great afternoon, evening, whatever you want to call it, right? But this is kind of fun. I mean, finding these photos makes life a little more interesting because you never know where you want to use them, right? You can use them as a background for your phone. You can use them as a background for your computer. I think I'll go back to the Get Set Up virtual background here for closing and get something there. Okay, and just some tips. I actually have my green screen set up today for class, and so for those of you joining me in half an hour, you'll actually see what it looks like behind me with green screen, and we'll learn about that. Okay. Well, anybody have any other questions before we say bye?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.